If you're playing an electric keyboard like I am, you may not hear as much the difference between a finger tone and a wrist tone. However, including a wrist tone in your playing, even if you're playing an electric piano, will relieve you from tension, especially if you're playing a long concert. But if you experiment wrist tone and finger tone on an acoustic piano, you may be able to hear the difference. I, for example, love playing a wrist tone when I'm playing a ballad, when I'm playing chords, whereas I would choose a finger tone if I'm playing fast phrases. Here is an exercise in which you can put in practice a 2-5-1 progression, as well as combining wrist tones with finger tones. On measures 1 and 2, I'm going to use a finger tone. And on measures 3 and 4, I'm going to use a wrist tone. From measures 5 and 8, I am going to really improvise what I feel with the emotion of the music. Let's break it down for a moment. So I'm using some of the finger independence on the right hand. Remember how we played that D minor 7 chord with tension 9? Right? So now I'm breaking it down by playing it in groups of 2. If I'm playing this in finger tone, I'm attacking it directly onto the key in an inward motion. Notice the bridge, once again, is more flattened. Whereas if I want to use a wrist motion, my wrist is slightly more flexible, and the sound comes from above, and I'm tossing upwards as I play those combinations. It also allows me to ride with the pulse of the music, almost like I don't need a metronome, because now the metronome is within me. You want to use your own speed as you play this, your own comfortable speed. Here's a finger tone again. Remember the scratching motion, right? And now I'm going to use a wrist tone. Do you hear a difference? The reality is you can really combine the two. Here's a tone on the fingers. Here's a tone on the wrist. So the first time around, you can use a finger tone. Second time around, you can use a wrist tone. Now let's look at the left for a moment. The left hand is using a technique called the open triad, in which the middle note of the triad goes up 1 octave. So instead of going we're playing the 1, the 5, and the 3rd at the top, which gives us a bigger and a more expanded sound. But notice what my wrist is doing here. I'm not trying to lock my fingers. I'm not trying to reach the extension of the 9, which immediately brings a lot of tension into my arm. Instead, I'm trying to use the motion of the arm to carry me through the notes And I'm taking advantage of the flexibility that the wrist also has from side to side. So before playing this with your left hand, maybe just experiment with moving your wrist from the bottom note to the top note. I'm using my second finger over the G as an axis, and then coming from the C into the E. Let's try the same thing over the G7. Second finger goes over D, and experimenting with that flexibility of the wrist. And back to the C, second finger on the G, and let's move it horizontally. Notice my arm is not holding, it's moving with the wrist. Now we're ready to play that. Go give it a try and choose your favorite.